Let's just do it.
All right. 1 and 2 and 3 and go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the No Breakfast Club. I'm Larry.
And I am not Daniel.
This is Skylar. He's a friend of me and Dan's, and he's also our landlord.
Yes. This room is in the house that I live in.
Yeah, so we rent the room from him, and we're going to do some other stuff together as well in the studio. But today, for the No Breakfast Club, Dan is not feeling well. Got a bit of a cough, got some achy muscles and some soreness and a little bit of tummy thing going on. And being all in a pandemic and COVID-19 world that we're in, he decided I shouldn't leave the house and I shouldn't get Larry sick or Skylar sick or pass the disease onto the dog that could then get Skylar sick. So he decided to stay home. And see how he feels in a few days. And if it doesn't get any better, he'll probably get himself tested. And we'll probably record that in some way at a social distance, a safe, proper etiquette and all that. So yeah, Skylar, why don't you introduce yourself to to our audience?
Hello, No Breakfast Club. I am Skylar. I have very similar interests with Larry. And we have known each other for
it's been a while.
Long time.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long we really have known each other.
From our early 20s.
From our early 20s at least, yeah. So 10 12 years, something like that, yeah. And I don't know. I'm not good at introducing You're not good at yourself. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Skylar, Skylar's my friend. We gaming. He's into nerd culture stuff, just like I am. And I needed a guest, so I needed a co-host. I didn't really need one, but I'd like to have one. And so I thought to myself, who'd be good? And there's a couple of people that went through my mind, but that's like the easiest guy is the guy that's already there. So I don't have to try to get someone to drive over here and meet me and last minute. So I was like, I'll ask Skylar first. And he was like, sure, I'll do it. And I was like, that's easy. It's good for me. I said, our subject today will probably be like an outsider's perspective. Because Skylar knows Dan, but you've only known Dan for 6-7 months now, right? He knows him. You know him through me.
Correct.
As we started doing this. And so he'd already lost all the weight by the time you met him. But you watched me go
I watched it. I watched the whole thing. I mean, we don't hang out all the time, but
once a week or once every other week.
Or if I had to take a month or so off of our game nights or whatever, I would see an even more drastic difference between last time I saw him and the current time.
Yeah.
So
it's funny for me because I get a lot of the subject will be like an outsider's perspective of the weight loss that I went through, what he saw, the results he saw from someone doing keto and IF and calorie counting, which is what me and Dan do, what we call the cheat code. Ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, which is IF, and then calorie counting, which is obvious, you count calories. And also the experience you have, we can get into this a little later, of actually doing a little bit of intermittent fasting.
Yeah, I've tried that a little bit.
Yeah. So one of the things I was going to say is funny is when I do post, I'll post something like the results I've had. There's a lot of, message boards and Facebook groups and Reddit groups and stuff like subreddits and stuff. And occasionally you get people who don't believe it.
Right.
They don't believe you did the thing you did. And it's like, I have a witness here. He watched me do it. He watched me go. I mean, you know how big I was.
Yeah.
I'll throw a picture up, maybe a couple of pictures, maybe a video of how big I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, you actually got to see it and you got to see the transition. And, I mean, I don't know what it's like for you. Cause for me, as I'm going through it, it was dramatic, but it was, I don't see it. I'm just feeling it.
When it's you every day, you look at yourself every day and you don't see the little things that happen every day. But having a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however long in between when we would see each other, it would be like, at first it was like, oh, Larry, have you lost a little bit of weight? Oh yeah, I'm trying this thing where I just got it into my mind where, I feel like I need to get more healthy and lose weight. Yeah. So I'm trying this out. And then it's like, oh, well, that's awesome. And then it's just kept going and going. And then all of a sudden I could see his cheekbones.
Yeah.
And then I could see his Adam's apple.
Like I had a neck again.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one solid big thing.
Yeah. He wasn't just like a...
You don't have to worry about not even insult the way I used to look. I'm okay with it. You're a nice guy, so... But I was big, right? I mean...
Yeah, he was...
I was 480 pounds.
Yeah. It was really impressive.
Yeah, so you got to kind of witness that. I don't want to like toot my own horn or anything, but this is just like what we're going to try to talk about. And
right.
I mean, I think again, like it's kind of nice to have someone like you that can say to people like, this is like legit, this actually happened. And it was, I think I started September, it'll be 2 years this coming September.
Mm-hmm. So like it's a year and a half.
Yeah, a little over a year and a half now. And, so you got to see, like, I mean, there were different areas there where it was really dramatic, I'm sure. Like,
oh yeah, like
I'd come back and it'd be like, I dropped like between the times you saw me, like 30 pounds.
His clothes, like they've talked about the clothes, right? His clothes, he'd come to my house and he'd be wearing garbage bags. I'm like, wow, you are really knocking this off. That's crazy.
Yeah, what he means by garbage bags is that my clothes were so big.
Are so big that it's just...
I was like, you could wear garbage bags to lose weight. That's what wrestlers do. But right, not actual garbage bags, but yeah.
Not actual garbage
like ponchos
bags.
Looking, Yeah. And yeah, so it was... okay, it's kind of fun to have someone here to talk about. And you've always been, as long as I've known you, a relatively fit guy. Like I would never even, you've even said before we started, I was asking, we were kind of talking about it and I was like, You're like, well, I've been overweight. I was like, I don't even believe that, but.
The biggest I've been is 235. That was the biggest I got. And I was like, I don't really like the way that I look.
6'1", 6'2"?
I'm 6'1".
Yeah. You have good posture though.
Bridging to 6'1". I might be like 5, or I might be 6'0" and like 5'10" or
5'10"
or something.
9'10" or something. Yeah. You're 6'1"ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're about as tall as my brother. My brother might be half inch taller than you.
I think he's a little tiny bit taller than me.
Yeah. Yeah. And as everyone knows, I'm 6'5". This is a joke apparently because I say it too much. But, so you're a tall guy, relatively fit all of your life. And, I think because we used to talk about this occasionally. I mean, like everyone out there, if you are overweight or morbidly obese, whatever, you talk about it. It's just one of the things, you have that friend or two, you'll talk about things I'm going to do or I should do or what I need to do, but you never quite do them. I remember we talked about it a few times before I actually did anything. Like one of the biggest things you talked about, I think for you, was that at one point you just gave up soda.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that's totally legit. Like I lost 10 pounds within a couple of weeks after just cutting out soda. Yeah.
And I think that's me and Dan, we both talked about this if you want to slowly work your way into a ketogenic diet or any diet at all, that's the first thing you should do. If you can drop soda, that alone will just start dropping weight off of you. Just get rid of all the sugary drinks, the sodas, things like lemonade and fruit juices. You just get rid of all that and just try to drink water only. And if you're going to drink something else, something 0 calorie, and the weight will just start to fall off you, especially if you are morbidly obese or severely obese in some way.
Right.
And then it's just kind of a snowball from there as you make the other changes. But, so we talk about that a lot. And I think that was, I remember it was at my brother-in-law's house because we game almost weekly. You and I, we have a group of friends that we do a game night with. We're not all always there every week, we have different lives and different things going on. But sometimes we'll have spurts of time where we see each other
every week.
Yeah. And so, we that's where our friendship really grew. I think we knew each other before that, but I wouldn't say we were friends.
Yeah, we didn't really hang out or anything that much. We just saw each other here and there.
Yeah, here and there.
So.
But that's when we really became friends, and we both went through a lot in that. There's a lot that's happened in that time period.
Yeah.
And but we would talk about that occasionally. That's just what you do when you're a big person. I got to do this thing, and then you don't do it.
Right.
And so and so then I finally actually did do the thing. I started losing the weight, started falling off of me, and again, you got to see that, and I just kind of want to ask you, like, did you ever get like concerned for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
when did you get concerned? Like, yeah, let me know.
I've got stairs in my house.
Yeah.
And I'm just, when you would come over, game night was upstairs. It's a split level. You come in, you go upstairs, and that's where we game, is upstairs on the upper level. And he would hike those stairs and he'd be like,
this is like when I was my biggest, right?
Yeah, when you were, yeah. And I mean, I didn't, I didn't know what to say, how to say anything, because I didn't want to hurt his feelings or anything like that. And, I just was like, oh man, he needs to do something. I'm not the person that is the one that needs to.
You didn't feel like, it was your place to tell me that.
It wasn't my place to tell him that he needs to do it, but I went to a little bit of school and, for a little bit of medical school, a little bit of EMT school, and then I did some PTA school for a while. Now I got in it. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, a little bit
life
life-changing things. And I mean that. Where was I even going with this?
My physicality, like,
yeah. And so, like, I knew that his body is crushing itself.
Yeah.
Like all of this weight, his skeleton is only this big, right?
Yeah.
But his body is this big, right? And at night when you're sleeping and you have all of that weight just crushing your chest and your diaphragm, you can't breathe at night. It puts so much more strain on all of your joints. And I was definitely legitimately concerned for my friend.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I would say, yeah. And it's interesting because that's another thing, right? There are people who will say something, but I think most people who are your friend are afraid to. The person who would say something usually is not your friend.
Right. It's like that guy that's like, hey, fatso.
Yeah. Or if they are legitimately concerned, they're like a health professional or something. Right. It's not actually
and it's like, oh, you're a doctor. You're paid to tell me that.
Yeah. You're telling me this every time I see you.
Yeah.
But so it's like this legit thing, right? You could see that, like, oh, we've talked about this. Never told the people we talked about, but there's other people that we both know, and you can hear them like,
yes. And it's something now that he's an average weight guy and doesn't have all of that stuff blocking his ability to notice.
Breathe. My diaphragm and everything is opened. And
he sees it in other people that need it.
They need to lose the weight.
They need to lose that weight or they're going to have those health problems. And
I mean, sleep apnea, it's hard enough. There's average guys that just have sleep apnea.
Right.
It can just be genetics, the size of your neck. Even if you're fit, you're strong, you have a thick neck, you can cause it. Yeah. Soft palate, all those different problems. And if you compound it by being 50, 100, 200, 300 pounds overweight. I was 280 pounds heavier than I am now,
Yeah.
So it's just like this ridiculous amount of extra weight you're putting on yourself and this extra stress.
Right.
And stressing your system and, like the joints, like you talk about the stairs. One of my biggest fears when I was that weight was I used to roll my ankle all the time, like especially my right ankle, but I roll them both. And it was just because when you're that big, once it starts to go, there's no stopping it. You catch something funny, you start to turn, and I can't pull up enough on the other leg to stop it once it goes, and then crunch, and then everything's messed up. Luckily, I never broke it, at least that I know of. I mean, it might have done. I did some definite damage in there. Yeah. I had to go to physical therapy for my right one for a bit after I got hurt at work. Yeah. And it was like the joints were all calcified and stuff. And it's like, that's why you're rolling it all the time, because it's like stuck permanently like this. Yeah. But like every time I'd go downstairs, my foot would just kind of pull in, that way as I would go down, like just the way the tendons were and stuff from getting crunched so many times. And so going downstairs always scared me, because like I had to really pay attention, because if I'm not paying attention, I could roll it, and then I'm going to roll it, and then I'm going to fall down the stairs. Right. And when you're way that big, when you're that big, who knows what will happen when you fall down the stairs, you know? I mean, just falling down the stairs at a normal weight, you can really hurt yourself.
Right. I almost broke my coccyx once. Yeah. Walking down the stairs, looking at an email on my phone, and
we have a friend who just broke his ankle walking down the stairs. He did basically what I was afraid of doing. He kind of just rolled it, crunch, and there it goes, and he broke his ankle. And that was just one of my biggest fears whenever I would go downstairs. And again, these are just little benefits, you know, that you notice afterwards. Like, you're not afraid of me going up and down your stairs anymore.
Yeah, when they were loading in, I would be sitting out there watching something on Hulu or something, or I don't know if we have to put that out. Matter. No, that's fine. But he'd just be going up and down and up and down. I'm like, you need any help? No, I'm good. Okay. Yeah. You know, I'm a good guy, like you said.
Yeah. You want help, but
I mean,
I can handle it now.
He can handle it. I don't feel like I have to go like save him from carrying this stuff up,
or save him from himself. Yeah. So, you know, that's just, again, there's these benefits, these things that you got to see, you got to witness that slow change. How about, I was going to say, like, how about during the weight loss? Is there anything that concerned you during my weight loss? Were you ever like, oh, Larry's gone too far? I know I do push some deep fasts, but
hearing you talk about going 10 days without eating, I mean, I know that the body can go like 40 days or whatever without food.
I mean, there's been people who've gone a year.
Yeah.
It's been documented. That's under doctor supervision. There's like a whole medical journals on it, but I would never do that.
Yeah. But,
oh, it's all right. Little dog.
But, I'm sorry, where were we talking?
I was just going to ask if there was any time, like, one of the things we talked about, we had a recent episode, me and Dan, we're talking about negative people. And one of the things that you get when you start getting, especially when you start getting down to actually normal weights, is people going, oh, you need to stop losing weight. You're losing too much weight. And like, even now, I'm barely in the healthy zone. Like, I could take a couple weeks off and be overweight again.
Right.
Easily.
Yeah.
And I could really take a couple months off and be obese again if I wanted to, you know, if I was crazy enough to do that. But, you know, I'm barely in the healthy zone. I'm barely at, you know, recommended weight. I could go down another like 30, 40 pounds easy.
Right.
I mean, I'd be really close to, like, I'd probably look horrible because I have so much loose skin and stuff on me. But, and I'd probably lose a lot of muscle mass. So I wouldn't do that. But I'm kind of where I want to be. But like I say, like, we get a lot of people who just like, I think they mean well, but they will look at you and go, oh, you need to quit losing weight. I've noticed with a lot of women, this happens. These Facebook groups I'm part of, and Reddit groups, there'll be the other lady in the office who tells her to quit losing weight. And she's like, I'm not even fit yet. Like, I'm still overweight. And then, like, they don't know, is it because she's jealous? Because usually that person's a little overweight too. Or is it because they are legitimately concerned or not? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I haven't yet gotten to the point where I think that you've lost too much or anything like that.
Yeah.
But hearing you talk about like your 10-day fast, I'm like, oh, that's a while. That's impressive, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I know that, I mean, people that have to go 10 days every now and then because they don't have food. I mean, they can get malnourished and stuff, but I mean, I haven't worried about that because I know that you've got the storage.
Yeah.
Had the storage and
the fat reserves, right. And I do supplements still when I'm fasting, so I get the minerals.
That
and
you
vitamins.
Take your vitamins and minerals regularly. So yeah. I mean, I haven't really felt like you've gone too far or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point a couple of weeks ago where your cheeks had started to sink in. I was like, no, I think he's still okay. I think he's still okay.
And that was my last 10-day fast that I think I'll ever do.
That was at the end of your fast.
That was the end of my fast too. Yeah. I did one last 10 days because I hadn't done one in quite a while. And I was basically at my goal weight. And I wanted to see, I was kind of pushing myself, can I do it one more time?
Yeah.
And I did it and I got below 200. I got to 198.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
And I was like, oh, sweet, I'm under 200. I'm never doing that again, But it was like kind of, for me, it was like a challenge, one last big push. And just so you know, like with BMIs and stuff, I could go down to like 160 technically and not be underweight. It's crazy that is, like when you think about it, but that'd be like a real thin, like not my body type.
You'd have to get rid of a lot of muscle mass.
A lot of muscle mass, and all that skin would have to be gone too, because it's just hanging on me.
You put a picture on Facebook of your back skin.
Yeah.
You did a little
with the mirror,
teaser with the mirror. And I was like, wow. I mean, just that extra skin, if you take that off, you'll probably lose another 10 pounds.
At least, yeah, I think so. Like, I'm wearing I usually wear the compression shirts, and I usually wear the long sleeve, and I've got some short sleeves that I got recently. And then if you look at my arm, that's all loose skin, just hanging there. And I won't worry about this, and I just got to get some muscle, and I'll fill it up, and then it won't be there. But my whole body is basically like this now. I mean, I showed you actually last week. And I'm going to do eventually, I'll do a video and I'll show it. I don't think Dan wants to do that, and that's fine with him. He wants to get a little bit into a healthier weight zone before he does that, I think. But I mean, I've got basically empty sacks. I call them man sacks, but they're my old boobs. There's these empty sacks here, and then I've got a lot of extra skin here, and there's just like a little bit of subcutaneous fat that hangs on there.
And I have a problem right there myself, trying to get rid of that little extra spot right there that I've never been able to get rid of. The little love
handles and stuff, but for me, it's almost all skin. It's really, and that's like the, it's kind of like the battle scar, I guess, of losing the massive weight loss. It's like, this is the proof kind of that I lost all that weight, and it kind of hangs there. And it's also a consequence of going so long. That's like, I want to tell people, me and Dan have actually talked about this. We want to, as we continue doing this, we want to eventually do like, we're not sure how we would do it, but we want to do like maybe seminars or something like that. And people can, small fee, whatever it is, wouldn't be that much. And then people come and we'll talk and we'll share our experiences and try to get people going. And we were talking about, we want to do free ones for like, like kids, like middle school and high school. I mean, and that's like, for me, I've always thought it's kind of there's like a danger to that. And also you don't want to give people a complex or give it energy in some way. Like if you tell some kid who doesn't think he's fat that he's fat, and then all of a sudden he starts getting like, am I fat? And then maybe he or she goes too crazy with it and like ends up anorexic or bulimic or something like that. I don't want to do that. Or the opposite, they get the self-esteem just plummets and then they get even bigger. Explode. So I wouldn't want to do that, but this would be more like for people who want to do it, and just kind of like, like the president's wife, like the first lady would say, like, 30 minutes of exercise or whatever, play 60 or whatever it is. Something maybe more along that lines, where it's like, we just want you to be healthy and fit, but I would kind of want to reach out to, especially kids that are high school age or whatever, that are getting to where they are, pushing, when you're in high school and you're pushing 300 pounds like I was. That's kind of ridiculous. And I want to like kind of tell them, like, if you can start now, start now. Try to get under control now. Because when you wait till you're 34, for Dan, like near 40, the consequences are, you can't reverse everything. There's a lot of things you can fix, but there's, our hearts have been stressed. Our lungs have been stressed. Our esophagus, our neck muscles for years.
Probably scar tissue in there.
And there's going to be plaque that's probably still built up in our system, from the high cholesterol and high blood pressure problems. And there's all this like undue pressure we put on our bodies. And then for one of them is the elasticity of my skin. It's just, it's gone. It was so stretched out, and some of it will come back and some of it will tighten, but some of it might just only work with surgery. And that's a dangerous, expensive process.
It is. And there's some things that there's some supplements and stuff that you can take that helps skin elasticity, collagen and
biotin and
hyaluronic acid and stuff like that.
A few different creams that supposedly work, but I don't know.
But like he was saying, if you can do it when you're young, you have all that still already. Your body hasn't started losing all of its youthful chemicals.
It's elasticity basically.
And your elasticity, it hasn't lost all of that baby fat or whatever.
When you look at like the elderly or anyone who's older, their skin starts getting crepey as they call it. It's doesn't have the elasticity and doesn't tighten up. And I basically have that, but I'm only 34.
Right.
Because it was stretched out full of fat. And then it's going to take time to tighten back up. Autophagy will help from intermittent fasting and stuff like that. But there's only so much that naturally can happen. And just the weight of it being there is going to keep it stretched out.
That's true. Yeah.
Like one of the things they say not to do is to not pull on it, because it's probably not, doesn't help, but
keeps pulling.
I can't help it, but yeah. So, I mean, I've got a little bit on my thighs. I got lucky. My legs aren't too bad. My lower legs are, you can't even tell.
Your lower legs are, you can't really even tell.
I got a little bit on my thighs, my hips. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen like a frog, like if you try to make a frog stand up.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of what I look like. I've got this like extra skin just like hanging all. It's just ridiculous.
Oh dear.
So like, so like we were talking about, we kind of want to reach out to people, to the younger people, and like, if you can get it, because that's one thing you always think about, especially now, like if I could have done this 14 years ago, if I was 20 and I did this, one, I wasn't as big. I was like 320 then. So I would only need to lose 120 pounds instead of 280 pounds.
Right.
It's still a lot of weight, but it was much more doable. I wouldn't have, the consequences wouldn't have been as bad. My body would have recovered faster and rebounded better.
Right. And you could think about it this way. He only would have needed to lose a thin woman instead of
another fat man. Yeah, another fat dude. Yeah. I basically lost a fat dude, you know? Like not a morbidly fat dude, but a fat dude, you know?
Yep.
At least if he's my height, because it's 6'5". So yeah, this is like, that's just one of the things that me and Dan, we've both talked about doing. I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying?
I think it would be beneficial for people to hear that from someone that's gone through it.
It's gone through it. Yeah. And, yeah, and so like again, like you're talking about looking in the mirror and seeing the excess skin hanging off, but it is kind of this. Like, I mean, me and Dan have also said it's like a battle scar. It's like this proof you did this thing, but man, I wish I didn't have that proof. Yeah. I'd rather them just think I was lying because everything was nice and taut.
Right.
You know, but and it's one of the things, and it's crazy expensive. We both, I mean, anyone who's lost the weight or is looking into losing weight, it's one of the things that you just talk about. And there's people who literally say, I don't want to lose the weight because I don't want to worry about the loose skin, which is ridiculous.
I've heard you guys talk about that too.
I've heard people say that.
That say that, yeah.
Yeah, like, I couldn't deal with the loose skin. It's like, you've got that skin is still there. You're just full of fat too.
Right.
So get rid of one of the problems, then you can work on the other one.
Right, because you've got the fat folds that that you have to clean under there like a couple times a day.
That's one of those things that there's a lot of little things people don't talk about with. I mean, some people probably do talk about it, but a lot of people don't talk about it. And when you are that, when you're that size, you literally will get like heat rashes. And I mean, wow. Chicks get it. They know because they have to wear a bra and they have, if they are well endowed as such, they get it because they have to deal with the same thing. When you're a fat dude or a fat woman, you have multiples of that.
Right.
You've got you got your gut, but there's a Dunlap. That's what they call it. My Dunlapped over my pants, you know?
Yeah.
You got your Dunlap, so you got that, and that will get you'll get boils and blisters and things like that underneath there because it's rubbing against like your belt and your pants all day long. All day. And the bacteria gets trapped underneath there, and it's constantly moist. Like I would go through baby powder like crazy. You got to just throw it everywhere, and there's people who do that, and it's just part of your life. And even when you're not big, people like to use a little baby powder, but when you are big, you kind of have to.
Right.
And so, yeah, there's just these extra consequences and undue pressure you're putting on your body when you're that size.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how much you know about that, but...
Well, I know what I've heard from you guys, basically.
Yeah, basically. Like, me and Dan have talked about this, like things from basically sleeping in a hole. I mean, if you're a certain size, unless you have a beefy, massively powerful, strong box spring, you're going to break it. Those things are made as flimsy as possible. They're made as cheap as possible. Right. And when you're a certain size, it just takes this one lean one way, crack, it's gone. Yeah. And then you're sinking on that side. And then you eventually just kind of work your way there, and you end up there every night, and you just sleep in this hole. You can't really roll out. You got to pull yourself out of there in the morning and stuff like that, and you don't want to talk about it, but you also can't afford to buy a box spring every few weeks because it doesn't take very long to break those things sometimes, especially when you're like, 480 pounds, 500 pounds like we were.
And then that can lead to more back
problems and stuff. And then you can't be as active, and that's one of the other things we talked about is like, you can't outwork your diet. So when you're that size and you're like, well, I'll just work out. And it's like, you can't, because that's killer already on your back. You're probably sleeping in a hole. That's bad on your back. Just walking around is bad on your back. You're slouching when you sit. Everywhere you do, everyone who's over a certain size has bad posture because you can't help it. Everything's pulling you.
Pulls you down.
Pulls you down, pulls you forward. So, it's one of those things that amazes me. I'm again part of a lot of these groups, and I'll see these guys that are, they're not that big, but they're maybe like 350 pounds, 360 pounds. They're like, I'm going to hit the gym. And it's like, get your diet under control first,
right?
Yeah. And especially if you're bigger than that, you definitely got to get your diet under control first.
Because you're going to hit that gym, you're going to get hungry. I've had the after gym hungries myself.
Yeah.
I always like to go get a fat burger for all that protein after I do a hardcore workout at the gym.
Yeah.
I haven't done that for a while, but
and when your goal isn't building muscle or recovery, when your goal actually is to lose,
right,
it doesn't really help you at all, because you end up what ends up happening is you overeat, and then then you have those days when you don't go to the gym, and then your body still wants that meal you would get after the gym, so you still go eat it. Yeah, so you still go eat it.
Like, we're going to go to the gym again, right? So we need to eat before, so we have that protein and all of that.
Yeah, and you kind of get caught in that too, like, I deserve this, I'm getting ready for this, I'm earning this, and it doesn't really work. At least in my experience, it didn't work, and I think for most people it doesn't work. It's like every year, New Year's resolution, everybody goes to the gym, and then a couple weeks later, a couple months later, nobody's there. Yeah, that's when the gyms make all their money, right?
It is.
Except for right now, they are suffering.
Yeah.
I wonder. I wasn't a part of the gym when this all went down, but I wonder if people can get out of their contracts because the gyms are closed.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't know how that works. It's hard enough to get out of a contract when they are open.
Right.
And now they're desperate for the money. You think they're going to let you out of their contract? But I really wonder that. But yeah, so because some of them are opening now because they're doing the soft open in most states, and some states are fully open, I think. But
yeah, I was at the outlet mall today for work. And they've got like 30 shops are open down there at the outlet mall today. Yeah.
I saw. So I think they opened it last Saturday. I think it was official. In Las Vegas and Nevada, we are officially in our stage 1 of our like reopening.
Yeah.
So they're slowly opening certain things. More stores have been made essential, I guess, or more non-essential stores are allowed to be open and do business within certain parameters. Yeah. Restaurants are allowed to be open for curbside and like outdoor seating, I think.
And some indoor. Some of them, indoor is allowed now,
but there's like a certain distance.
They're letting
half capacity.
Some of them, I think it's something like half capacity. They have to have like every other booth has to be closed,
which would be basically,
and then they have to take out like
half the chairs on the tables,
because the tables have to be 6 feet away from other tables. That's and all of that stuff. But some places aren't opening inside yet. Anyhow, because it's just easier to just do the curbside pickups. Yeah. For a lot.
Have you even thought of going to a restaurant or anything?
Especially I've considered it. The Cheesecake Factory's open down there. So I was like,
I've never eaten at a Cheesecake Factory.
It's
for a fat guy though. I mean, that's like a fat guy place, and I never went there. Me and Dan were also talking recently. I'd never been to Cracker Barrel either. Like I've had opportunities to go there, but I've just never been like,
I don't know if it's as good as people say it is. But that's just an opinion.
It's kind of
like the food. It's really good. Yeah,
it's one of those like comfort food places, right? It has all those like
down southern,
country style food that's just comforting.
Grits and mashed potatoes and
chicken fried steak,
all that stuff. Yeah,
and meatloaf.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I've been to Golden Corral, which is like the poor man's Cracker Barrel. It's like the buffet version.
Right.
Not like proud of it, but like I had like my brother-in-law's grandmother. She would take us out to eat occasionally, and she was one of those ladies who went there every day. So when she took you out, that's where we went. And it's like, I can't pass up a free meal, especially back then. I wasn't gonna pass it up. So definitely did the Golden Corral or Chuck-a-Rama. But no buffets are open, I don't think, though.
Buffets are not allowed.
That's a no. Now. I don't know if those will be back for a while.
Probably not for a little while.
We got a bit of a COVID tangent, but it's a current topic, current event that's happening, and it affects people who are obese. We talked about that, how it's, it's more detrimental to people who are obese.
Right. They can't get out and move around, and they just sit there and eat.
Well, there's that side of it. There's the people, when you're trying to start a diet and you're trapped in your house with your food all day, there's that side of it. But actually there's like 80% of people who end up in the hospital with COVID, where they actually have to be hospitalized, are overweight or are obese.
Yeah.
So, because again, if you are obese and overweight, it affects the lungs, and that's one of the places that you have a hard time with already.
Right.
You already have a hard time breathing, and people with high blood pressure, it affects more, I guess. I don't know how I'm trying to say that. It affects them more. And if you're overweight and obese, you have high blood pressure. It's almost a given. So again, it's a good, me and Dan have also both said this, that we got fit at the right time before this pandemic happened.
Right. You got rid of that extra weight just in time.
Yeah. We got rid of the extra stress on our body, so that if we do happen to get sick, hopefully it won't be too bad.
Right.
And again, like Dan, he doesn't think he has it, but he doesn't want to risk anything, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing this special guest episode of the No Breakfast Club. Thanks again, Skylar. But yeah, so things, right?
Yeah.
Life happening. So let's switch gears a little bit, and let's talk about intermittent fasting. So. Okay. You've seen it. We both come from a similar faith. Similar, the same faith, right? Yeah. And that a big part of that is fasting.
Right.
So those don't know that I grew up in the Mormon Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm no longer practicing. Skylar, you still are?
I am.
And that's actually how we know each other originally.
Yeah,
that's where we met. You've seen fasting in your life. Right. I think there's a reason why every religious culture fasts, and I think part of it is the clarity that comes with fasting. I've talked about this. I think at a certain point when you've gone without food, your mind stops thinking about the food, but at the same time it's looking for food, but it doesn't feel that way. Like colors get a little brighter because you're looking for like the fruit on the tree. So you want to be able to distinguish it. You can hear things. You can hear the rabbit that's running across the thing. So you can throw a rock at it and kill it and eat it. Right. So I'm not sure that's really how it is, but it's what it's like. Like everything's get a little clearer, a little better. I think that's why in religion, fasting is so important. Right. It's like, it's kind of like overcoming the natural man.
Right. It's like a way to practice self-control.
Yeah.
And to become more in tune.
Yeah, more in tune with your body, your mind, your spirit.
Body, mind, and spirit.
I think another part of it is too, it's like, you get that self-control, and there's another part of it is like you're also giving something up.
Right.
So
a sacrifice.
There's a sacrifice of some kind. You're sacrificing, even if it's just for like a few meals, it could just be the pleasure of eating you're sacrificing, or it could literally be, I'm sacrificing nutrients to my body for whatever reason, whether it's I'm trying to get an answer to a question, or I'm trying to reach out to the heavens, or whatever your thing may be, or you're just doing it because, you're Gandhi and you're protesting, or whatever it is. There's a lot of different reasons. And for me, it was for, the autophagy, which is self-eating, when the body eats itself. And there's a lot of health benefits from that. You can look it up. We've talked about it many times. There's that. There's, for me, a lot of it was just willpower. It was like strengthening my own resolve.
Yeah. And
I think that's a big thing. And so, we both grew up with some experience of fasting. In the Mormon faith, there's a once a month thing where we fast it's just a few meals on a Sunday. You don't eat breakfast, you don't eat lunch, and you usually break your fast at dinner.
Right.
So you basically intermittent fast for a day once a month, which is not enough to do much when it comes to like weight loss, but it's like a little thing where we kind of knew what fasting was part of our lives.
It wasn't a foreign concept.
Yeah. And then occasionally, like COVID-19 happens and the church leaders get together and say, hey, we're going to do a fast for, a day or 2 days or 3 days. And we're going to do it as a large group of people. And we're going to pray and try to, help out. Whether you think that works or not, it's still a lovely gesture at the least.
Right.
But, growing up, we would do that. If you needed an answer to a question you had, and you're going to go to the Lord and ask, one of the things they recommended to do beforehand was to fast.
Right.
So again, it wasn't a foreign concept to us. And then you saw some of the weight loss I was having, and eventually people ask, what are you doing? And my big two were keto and intermittent fasting, as well as counting calories, because you kind of want to give yourself a window, not only when to eat, but how much to eat. So, I talked about the intermittent fasting, and then at a certain point, you kind of picked it up a little bit.
Yeah. I was curious to see, if it, would work for me. How they say that, everybody's body chemistry is different or whatever.
Everybody's a little different.
Things work for different people. So I was like, I wonder. So I tried. I asked Larry, hey, what is the recipe or whatever.
Yeah, the formula for intermittent fasting.
And he told me that the 3 different main kinds.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'll try the 18 or the 16 and 8. I'll try that. And so
I think the minimum that you can do, I think it's 12. They say, like, I've heard people say that you can do it 12 and 12, but it's like, that's just, it includes sleeping. There's just 4 hours where you don't eat. Like, it's a lot of people do that naturally, I think.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I think 16/8 is kind of the go-to.
Yeah. So I tried that, and lo and behold, I lost weight.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a ton. It wasn't super fast, but I lost like 10 pounds.
And it wasn't like you were for food, right?
And I was not starving or anything. Like, I felt better.
Yeah.
Because, like, you eat a big old breakfast because you need the energy for the day, right? And then you eat lunch because you need to keep up your energy for the day, and then you eat dinner because dinner's delicious. You
gotta have energy for when you sleep that night,
right? Yeah. So I was just like, well, maybe I don't need to eat as much as I do.
Yeah.
And so then I started even eating less when I did eat.
Yeah.
And then I lost a little bit more weight, and off of this, I mean, I'm not skinny, but like you
said, I'm relatively fit guy.
If this is average, I'm on this side of average instead of this side of average,
Yeah. So, I was way on that side of average.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was like, well, this is cool. I'm going to just keep doing this, and, then I heard Dan and Larry talking about OMAD. And so I was like, well, what the heck? I'll try it. I'm in an inactive job. I'm a mailman. So I'm outside walking around all day. So I was a little nervous. I was like, am I going to have enough energy to be able to work? Am I going to be okay doing this? And so I just tried it. I tried it for a day. And the first day I was like, yeah, I'm pretty hungry. But then the next day, like, I didn't even feel like eating breakfast. Lunchtime came around. I was like, yeah, I could eat, but like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So it was that fast for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're already kind of doing some intermittent fasting,
right?
I think that always helps.
It wasn't a huge jump, but I was also making sure, like Larry was saying, he eats lots of cabbage and stuff like that. So I was like, I'll go buy a couple of heads of cabbage, some carrots and stuff. So I was eating cabbage and carrots and a protein. Once a day, and then I was taking vitamin C pills and a 1 a day. Supplement.
Yeah. So, one of the things we did talk about, for a minute was if you're doing OMAD or intermittent fasting, but you're eating junk when you do eat, it doesn't really work.
It's not gonna do it. But yeah, and so like I'm back to the weight that I was when I was 20.
Yeah.
And 14 years ago. I mean,
time flies, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh. I won't say high school weight because I was actually a little heavier in high school because I was I was on the swim team, so I had muscle.
Oh, it was muscle mass.
Yeah, it was muscle mass in high school with a little bit of a blanket over top. But I'm like back to my 20s weight.
Like your post-mission weight?
Yeah.
That's nice.
So.
Yeah. And we would say one of the things was too, like when you have those meals, it's like a sensible meal. Like when I say sensible, it can actually be a lot when you're on OMAD. Because like if you're at a point where you're maintaining and you're doing OMAD, you got to eat 2,000 calories in one meal.
To get your 2,000 calorie recommended diet.
Yeah. So I mean, and there's only so much you can eat at once.
You can't. I mean, unless you're eating crap, then it's hard to get those calories. But then if you don't eat the crap, then you get all the nutrients out of that real actual food.
Yeah. And you get full because you have to eat a lot of that real actual food. Like if you look,
it has more fiber in it, so it's heavier, and
there's a lot of benefits to eating real food.
Yeah.
I think I've seen people who do they'll do a long fast and they'll break it with pizza. And it's like, oh, that's not how it works. And then one of the problems when you do that is when you're eating food, especially food that's like junk food, high calorically, low nutrients, is it's like a sugar high you get afterwards. So you're starving because you've been doing this intermittent fasting or whatever, OMAD, whatever it is. And you eat that food and you get this big buzz because you're like, yeah, I finally got food in my body. And then you crash afterwards. And then it makes it harder to keep doing the intermittent fasting or the OMAD, whatever it is. Yeah. But so so you got to see those benefits and you got to experience them firsthand.
Right.
Yeah. And that's really interesting because for me, I'm at a point now where I'm trying to switch from losing to maintaining and then building lean muscle mass. Yeah. Lose the last bit of this, subcutaneous fat that I have, little baby fat that's left over, and switch that to that weight that was that into the muscle and mostly the upper body. My legs are fine. I carry myself around.
You've been deadlifting your entire life.
And so I got to work on getting the upper body back. It's gone. It's all what I did have it's gone now. And so I'm working on transitioning, and I float back and forth between an OMAD and a 16-8. Yeah. And I'm really thinking about going back to OMAD again because I found for me, it's easiest way to count calories and do it. Yeah. And for me, the counting calories now, the counting calories is not about restricting myself. It's the opposite. It's about making sure I'm actually getting 2,000 or plus because
you need that
I need
to maintain. You need that number because you're not losing anymore.
And I can't build the muscle mass if I'm only eating 1,400 calories a day or whatever I was doing before. So I know it's an interesting transition. And for some of you may be at that point, or maybe you only need to lose a little bit and then you'll be at that point. For some of you need to lose a lot. So it'll be a while. But it's a weird place to be for me. Cause I've been losing for a year and a half plus. Yeah. And that's where my mindset was lose. And now I'm at this weird point where when I have a day, before if I'd have a day where I ate more than the 12 or 1,400 calories, that was a cheat day.
Right.
And so I ate whatever I wanted because it was my one day a month. I'm going to eat whatever I want. Yeah. And it's hard for me not to do that now. So I either want to eat everything over 8 hours or I want to eat just a little bit and just do my normal thing. And it's I got to learn how to find the middle ground and be 2,000 calories about, depending on what I'm doing. If I'm working out the day, it's going to be more than that. It's going to be 2,500, 28, depending on how much I work out. Yeah. And so it's this weird place I'm at now, trying to learn how to maintain and learn how to build muscle mass and do things I did weight training in high school, but I just did whatever the coach told me to do. I didn't really learn anything. I probably should have. If I would have known, I would have been way better. But so I just did what he told me to do. We're doing circuit today. Okay. I'm doing circuit today. We're doing legs today. We're doing abs, so I would just do whatever he told me to do, but I hated ab day, but who doesn't? But the only thing I hate more than that was burpees. But I don't think anybody likes doing those. And I gotta start doing that kind of stuff now. So I'm I used to crush sit-ups and crunches and stuff. Even when I was a heavier kid, but I was the one thing I could always do very well. People were always surprised. Man, he's fat, but he's really good at doing crunches. Yeah. But I cannot do a full sit-up anymore. Cannot, from laying flat on the ground, I cannot pull myself to my knees. Wow. I can do a crunch, because you don't have to go that high. Right. But I cannot pull myself, my lower abs are the core is just so weak now, because I was basically, and that's not from losing the weight. That was just from being so fat that I couldn't do sit-ups and crunches anymore. So I just didn't do anything. And I was basically, I think my weight was just holding me up. I can't explain it, but.
Well, and when you have that much extra, you almost can't actually.
You really can't.
There's so much in the way between you and your knees. You can't get up to your knees.
Yeah. So I do yoga and stuff now, and I do planking and all these things.
Yoga.
Yeah, I love yoga too. I do DDP yoga.
I feel like I'm walking on clouds afterwards. It's
really. Yeah. What kind of yoga do you do? Do you?
I've got P90X yoga.
Oh, you do P90X yoga? Okay, I've never done that.
That's a little more intense than a regular yoga, but
yeah. Well, I heard was it Bikram yoga? Bikram.
The hot
yoga.
What is it, 120 degrees or something like that?
That's supposed to be the craziest one.
Yeah.
But I do DDP yoga, which is Diamond Dallas Page. He was the wrestler back in the day, and he started doing yoga because he couldn't lift weights anymore because his back and joints were all shot from wrestling.
Yeah.
And he got into it and he really liked it. And then he started getting other wrestlers to do it because their bodies are all destroyed from wrestling.
Yeah.
And then he started getting people who weren't wrestlers to do it. And he had to build this whole program. And there's some really inspirational videos I recommend checking out. There's a guy named Arthur, who's like a former like ranger or something, who used to jump out of, he just do parachute and stuff. And he destroyed his legs doing that. And then he just started putting weight on, and he was walking around. He had to walk with crutches and stuff. And now he can do like a handstand.
Yeah.
You can do the yoga handstand and everything.
Yoga is awesome.
It's intense too. It's not easy.
No, it's not. It looks like they're just standing there bent over, and that's not what they're doing.
Yeah, your whole body is like, and you got to hold that pose and you're trying to balance. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that I think it's hard for people to, like, it's kind of like, I think Pilates has the same problem. And even just physical therapy, people look at it like you're just stretching. It's like actually when you can't move, that stretching is incredibly painful and difficult. Mm-hmm. So it's that same kind of thing. Like, it's like, he's not powerlifting. How is he getting stronger? It's like, he's doing yoga, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
But so you get to, anyway, I enjoy it a lot. But so I do the yoga and stuff. And so I'm trying to build the core strength back up. Mm-hmm. But
now, one of the things that I have an ab roller. It's a wheel on a bar.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's a good core workout. It works your back. It works
you're essentially you're stretching out into a plank and then coming back.
You stretch out and all the way out into a plank, and then you come back up. So, yeah. And then I've got a pair of the push-up bars that spin.
Oh, I've never seen those.
Yeah, I like them. They give you a fuller range of motion because you can go down, and instead of being at the floor, you can go down a little bit further. Oh, but then it also lets you
rotate your forearms
like that. So
oh, that's cool. I didn't even know they had those.
Yeah, they're nice.
See, that's one of the things. Again, like, I'm transitioning, right? And I'm not worried about lifting weights and stuff. I'm working on body weight exercises, like push-ups, pull-ups and stuff. And I used to be able to do push-ups like when I was in high school. Yeah. And now I can barely do a push-up, and way lighter, but the muscle mass is gone.
What you do is you just start out with however many you can do.
Yeah.
And then you can add another one or another 5 or whatever
it is. Yeah.
It is. And you'll work up, you'll have nice hard little pecs, and you can do 100 push-ups, and if you just do it every day.
It's just like the weight loss.
Yeah.
As you do it, it exponential loss for there and exponential growth the other way. Right. Yeah, and it's just one of those weird things for me in transitioning. One of the big ones for me, my new goal is, right, because I finally got down in the weight, my new goal is a pull-up. I've never done a pull-up in my life. Yeah. Like, even when I was like a little kid, like when I was, I was always a little on the chubby side, but like, they put you on a pull-up bar, do a pull-up, and like, I don't know how to do a pull-up. I'm unless you're that kid who's just a monkey bar crazy kid, I don't know how to engage like the lats, and I just like try to use my bicep to pull myself, and I couldn't do it, and then I just never did it. I just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So I've never done a pull-up in my life, and that's my new goal.
They have the machines at the gyms that they have the pull-down bars. You can work your way up, and then eventually you can work your way into your own body weight.
Yeah, there's a guy named Icy Mike. He's a fitness review, MMA, self-defense guy that I watch on the YouTubes, and he did a whole thing about, like, he's like, I think it was like 3 or 4 exercises that he kind of was pushing, and like they're ones that can kind of basically save your life, and pull-up is one. Like, a pull-up can save your life. I think deadlift, pull-up, push-up. If you can do those, you're probably set for life. And squat goes along with deadlift, I think. Yeah. But like, if you can do a pull-up, you could save your life. He did a whole video on like how to work your way, and like one of the things he talked about was like, if all you can do is hang, then just hang. And like one of the things he talked about, the biggest one was like, just work on pulling your shoulders away from your ears, because that's working the lat as you pull, and don't even worry about getting actual pull-ups if you can't do them yet. And then he showed like they have these bands you can get to help. So you have the machines at the gym. You can just buy those bands. Like, they're not too badly priced, and you stand in them and you wrap it around the bar, and it just reduces the weight by up to 100 pounds. I think that's the biggest one I saw. Yeah. And so, and it helps you with your form. Even if you can do a pull-up, it can help you with your form. Yeah. You can reduce the weight by 20, 30 pounds. That way you can get your form right and work your way back to doing your full body weight, and then you have your correct form. Because that's one of the biggest problems with people doing pull-ups.
Right. If you do it wrong, you're going to hurt yourself, and you're gonna misalign something, and you're just gonna be in pain.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then you're doing it wrong. You're not working the right muscles, and like you see people, their arms are too close together or too far apart. There's a million different things. I mean, I don't even know. I'm just watching videos, trying to learn myself.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting. I actually like Icy Mike, and I would recommend him to anybody if you like. He's a funny guy, and he's much more advanced than if you need to lose the weight. But I've been watching him for a few years now just because I like him.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. But that's another thing I was going to say is interesting. And again, it's a little off topic, but like because of COVID-19, everyone's at home, right? And so everybody's buying exercise equipment.
Yeah.
And everything is sold out or way jacked up in price.
Yeah.
Like I was looking for those resistance bands, and I think I'd seen them before just a few months ago, thought about getting them and didn't. I wish I had.
Yeah.
Cause it was like you could get a set for like maybe $60, $70. Maybe not the.
I have some that came with my P90X, and
are they
if you don't, do you have?
I mean, are they the ones that you can hook to the bar? These ones are.
No, they're not that, but you can.
I have like standard resistance bands, and I do use those, but these ones are like heavy duty, like you could stand in them, and they won't break.
And they've got like the clip; you can clip it up on the bar.
It's not even a clip; it's like they're basically just a loop, and you loop it through on the bar and stuff. They're basically made for this.
Yeah,
like they're made to help you learn to do a pull up and like certain things like that, or like super advanced stuff. Yeah. But I've got like your standard resistance bands with the clips. Then you can. I even have the door wedge thing.
Yeah.
So, and I use those, but I would snap those if I try to do a pull up with them. They're not made for that, and it would probably hurt.
Probably.
I'm always afraid of using the door wedge, because I know someday I'm going to be using that. Someone's going to open the door and it's going to flap me right in the face or the back or whatever. Actually, I've seen videos that's happened a lot because people are kind of working out at home, getting slapped in the back.
I saw one of those come up on the Facebooks.
On the Facebooks, yeah. But it's like, but the one that's driving me nuts is the jacking up of prices and stuff.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And then the other one,
I mean, there's the supply and demand thing, but I mean,
some of it's ridiculous. Yeah, but this stuff's
once it gets to a certain point, that's a little too much.
Yeah. Especially if it's something that's necessary. This isn't necessarily a necessary thing, but for some people it is. I get like people who are upset about things being closed. Mm-hmm. One of the ones I was kind of like, I mean, I get it. We need to open slowly and responsibly and smartly, and I want to do that. Yeah. I want things to open. I wish things were the way they were before. I wish there was no COVID-19, but there is a thing. So we got to be responsible about it. And I understand why people are upset, especially if you're a small business owner or you're a gig worker. So like unemployment's not really a thing for you, or barely is a thing for you, or depending on what your job is or what you did. And then just wanting things to be back to normal. But one of the ones I was really, for me, was sympathizing with were people who couldn't go to the gym. Because I know people, and I hike and stuff, but I was getting ready to transition to a gym because I'm trying to switch things up again. I'm changing what I'm doing and
progressing to
hiking and walking. For me, the problem with that is it takes you an hour or two to get the same workout you could do in 20, 30 minutes if you do something super intense. And I can't run. My body can't take it. My knees and stuff are too shot. Yeah. So I'm actually getting a bicycle. But even that's hard to get. I can't get tubes for the tires.
Oh yeah.
My nieces and nephews, they got some bikes, and I needed to fix them up for them. I went to the store and they're all gone because everybody's buying bikes, or everyone's riding their bikes or fixing their bikes because everybody's being active, which is awesome. But at the same time, it's like there's these little things you wouldn't think that are suddenly you can't get. Yeah. And home exercise equipment, boxing equipment, heavy bags.
Wow.
All that kind of stuff you cannot find.
I didn't even think about that. That's
because everybody's building a gym in their garage now, so because you can't go to the gym down the street. And it's just it's a really weird time to be. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be like in 10, 15 years, like what we're going to tell kids when we were alive in 20. Was it that bad? I mean, it wasn't Spanish flu. Right. And most of us probably don't know someone directly who's died. We may know someone who's been sick, or we know someone who knows someone who died or was very ill.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, kind of thing. But I think for most of us, unless you're hit in one of those hard hit areas, it's just been mostly a thing that we're concerned about and we're trying to do the right thing and be responsible about. But we're kind of like over it. We just want it to go away. But at the same time, it's not up to us whether it goes away. It's going to do whatever it's going to do.
Right. We just got to do it's a life form all of its own.
Yeah. But I was like, what are we going to tell? Like, we were stuck. I mean, for you, your job just keeps going because the mail has to keep being delivered.
The mail has to keep going.
You are essential, as it were.
I am.
But like, you know, I mean, like, what did you do in 2020? I sat at home and I streamed videos, played video games. I talked to people, posted memes, and then I couldn't get exercise equipment and I ate all my food. And I had toilet paper. I had a Ford of toilet paper, you know?
That's going to be, when we're old, that's going to be our Vietnam story.
Our Vietnam story, our Great Depression. Yeah. I mean, that's a real scare now too, right? Like they're saying unemployment it's like worse than the recession in 2008. Yeah.
It's getting up to it's borderline Great Depression
numbers, which is scary. And it's why I understand people who are upset. You know, I don't like the way that some of them are going about it, but I understand why they're upset and why they're scared. And you know, when you're having to choose between your health and then feeding your family or paying your mortgage or choice. Your rent or whatever, I would
sacrifice myself to save my family.
Yeah.
Again, that's personal opinion.
Opinion. But at the same time, the other side of that is it's not necessarily you sacrifice, because you know, you could be perfectly fine with whatever it is.
Right.
Everybody else might not be as lucky as you.
I don't want to bring it home to
your family and kids and your, you know, like I've got a grandmother, you've got my parents, my parents even are elderly.
Have health issues.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird, crazy time that we are in right now. And it's so weird. It also goes, I think, because we don't all have like direct connections to it. It feels almost like this foreign thing too.
Yeah.
Like it's there, but it's not affecting me, but because it exists, it's affecting me in other ways, you know, like the economy, and it's just social media is crazy right now. Right. I mean, I've got a lot of friends that are on either side of these issues, and they're just, I mean, it was already bad before with people butting heads, but it's gotten hard. It's doubled down now. It's been politicized.
It has, yeah. And I have on Facebook, of course, you know, I have cousins and friends and stuff that are like, no, stay home. You're dumb. No, you're dumb. We got to go out and work.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm just like, my life's normal. I'm an introvert. You know, I just go to work. I come home and hang out with my dog. I'm good. That's
you've got a job that had to keep going, so you're just still doing it, and then you just come home and do your normal thing.
Yeah. So
I mean, for me, it was kind of the same too. Like I'm pretty introverted, and all the jobs I do were basically from home kind of things, you know, and I'm trying to make it in some other ways. And so like people are like, are you still working? I'm like, well, technically, because I'm still doing the same thing I was doing before. Right. But is it working? I don't know if it's working, but I'm trying to make it work. Yeah. But yeah, my life hasn't changed that much. For me now, it's the little things. You know, like I can't go to the cafe and sit down and have a drink with my friends, or I can't go see a movie. Yeah. You know, it's those little, or like going to the store is now kind of an adventure.
Right. Like, it's like, do I really want to spend my day off, my one day off a week from work? Do I really want to spend it standing in a line at a store trying to get food? I've got enough food in here, you know. I mean, I could use a couple other things, but I've got enough that I can wait for a little bit longer before I go.
Before I have to go. And then there's that other side of you, like, but like, what if they run out of the thing?
Right. What if there aren't any more tortillas when I go try to get tortillas at the store?
And that was the other side, right? The crazy, and it's still happening because now meat's kind of a shortage, but not a shortage. But
there's plenty of meat, but
there's no processing plants.
Processing plants are all shut down
or some of them are, a lot of them, or they were. I think they're back open now, or most of them are. But
I don't know what the current this date.
Well, this episode was going to premiere this coming Monday. That's why we really had to do one. That's why I had to have a guest today.
I see.
Because I was like, I'm out of backlog. Uh-oh. Me and Dan life just got in the way. Things happened and we couldn't get together and line up an episode. Then he got sick and I'm like, I have to have an episode this weekend. And then I've got I'm starting a new job. So
yeah, you were saying, I heard you. Yeah, we could talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. It's just a night thing, but it's going to make the scheduling harder, and I can't stay up all night editing. I have to do it now and get it done. So again, life. We've definitely got off subject.
Definitely.
But that's probably going to end this episode because we're hitting an hour here.
Yeah.
So I want to thank Skylar for joining me. I know some people have said I talk too much even when Dan's here, and I talked a lot with Skylar here because, you know, it's not his regular thing, and I should talk. I'm the real host here. He's just my guest co-host.
Right.
So yeah, I want to thank you for helping out.
It was a pleasure.
And so I just want to wrap it up real fast. Hey, intermittent fasting and keto and calorie counting, it works.
It works even for people who aren't super fat.
Yeah. If you just want to get healthy a little bit or lose those few pounds, it'll work. Yeah. I mean, it just takes a couple of weeks of it and it works.
You just have to do it right.
Yeah. I mean, Dan always say every diet works. So I mean, even if these ones aren't the one for you, find one that works for you and just stick to it. But yeah, and then I'll just want to say with the COVID-19 and the politics and everything, it's just all be nice to each other.
Yeah.
Show some love, show a little respect. I think that's the biggest one. If we can just show a little respect and we can have our opinions, but we don't have to necessarily voice them all the time.
Right. There's a time and a place for everything. There's a time for you to argue about politics, and there's a time not to argue about politics.
Yeah. Anyway, so again, I want to thank you all for watching, and thanks Skylar for helping. And as always, this has been the No Breakfast Club. I'm Larry.
And I'm Skylar.
And we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
All right.